Your Honour, if it is all right for the majority of this statement, I would like to address the defendant directly. You don't know me, but you've been inside me, and that's why we're here today.
Right, so just how much do you know and how do you feel?
I think from what I've read, I don't remember his name, the swimmer...
Swimming championship swimmer?
Raped a girl behind a dumpster.
That is what drove us to college campuses all over California.
For me, there's no chance in hell I'd ever be raped on a college campus, but that also means I can't understand. You know, I can only be enraged by it, I can only be disgusted by it, but I can never put myself in a woman's shoes.
So I can try and understand, try to empathize, because I really can't see it through your perspective. That's the goal of this project, to help bridge
The understanding between both genders. There's no way we can succeed as a people if half of us are held back.
It affects me greatly. It's really disturbing to me that rape is not taken as seriously, and it's sort of more blamed on drinking and promiscuity rather than the fact that someone is making these decisions and taking the blame off of the person who actually inflicted all the harm.
Like, you read the entire letter, like,
yeah.
How?
I loved her letter because it was personal and it was emotional and it was connected to the actual events, but she was sort of putting it in this context that to me was universal. This understanding that if you're a person and you're doing these things, if you do something harmful like that, you should be held accountable for them. And in our world, men aren't held accountable for it, and women are almost the majority of the time the victims of it, and it's not taken seriously. To me, it says that the majority of the United States doesn't really understand what the idea of rape culture is. Well, and this is a campus, because I did my undergrad here as well, but this is a campus that is super frat-oriented and party-oriented. And the apartments here, the parties that go down are very similar. Like, it's just, you can feel the culture. It's like so different. There's so much privilege.
Yeah. How much do you know about the Stanford rape case, and how does it affect you as a woman on campus?
I guess I don't know how to say it's affected me. Like, I don't, like, because it's so ingrained with...
Really?
Yeah. Like, I remember as a kid, you know, going off to college, my parents like, okay, remember, Anne, don't go to frat parties, don't drink, like, as though if I followed these rigid rules, like, somehow I'd be safe from the threat of, like, rapists out there.
Right.
And I don't know, that like makes me think too, like maybe I can keep myself safe, but what if that means like that whoever was gonna target me ends up picking someone else?
Yeah, that's
like,
the thing.
It makes you feel bad, like you're just trying to protect yourself, but then you think, what about someone else whose parents didn't tell them, you know, don't drink, don't wear short, whatever.
So, make yourself like less of a victim so you won't be victimized, but like, it's kind of like, don't pick me, pick the other girl.
Yeah, it's like a really weird part of the conversation is that like make yourself less rapeable so they pick someone else.
Yeah.
Which is just really
completely
fucked up.
bullshit. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that totally angers me. Like, it's really infuriating.
Yeah, and then part of this, just I don't know. Like to me, like there's a sense of the inevitability of sexual violence.
Yeah.
Like this could have been me, and like. As I get older, like more and more of my friends have experienced like sexual or intimate partner violence. So it just feels like at any moment, like it could be me, or it will be me.
How much do you know about the Stanford rape case, and like what are your feelings as a woman on campus?
Just in general, like anything, it's a huge amount of male privilege, white privilege, and it's disgusting.
20 minutes of action shouldn't qualify for 20 years of life, and I mean, how do you feel about that?
He, quote unquote, whether his father said it or he said that like he just slipped up, if he's blaming alcohol or he's blaming like a party culture on campus, he still chose to hurt someone the way he did. And he hurt this woman in a way that is completely unimaginable to him. That 6 months of prison is not comparable to a lifetime of psychological and physical trauma caused by his action.
I came across an article. In it, I read and learned for the first time about how I was found unconscious, with my hair disheveled, long necklace wrapped around my neck, bra pulled out of my dress pulled off over my shoulders and pulled up above my waist, that I was butt naked all the way down to my boots, legs spread apart, and had been penetrated by a foreign object by someone I did not recognize. This was how I learned what had happened to me, sitting at my desk reading the news at work. I learned that what happened to me the same time everyone else in the world learned what happened to me.
And the cardinal sin of all sins is the abuse against a woman or a child, or anyone physically weaker.
This is her open letter that she read to court.
Did you drink in college? You said you were a party animal. How many times did you black out? Did you party at frats? Are you serious with your boyfriend? Are you sexually active with him? When did you start dating? Would you ever cheat? Do you have a history of cheating? What do you mean when you said you wanted to reward him? Do you remember what time you woke up? Were you wearing your cardigan? What color was your cardigan? Do you remember any more from that night? No? Okay, we'll let Brock fill it in.
Personally, speaking from a linguistic anthropological perspective, I think there usually tends to be a certain kinds of framing about rape cases where you have to distinguish between, someone who is going to be portrayed as a victim and then someone who victimizes someone else. And I think words play a pretty important factor in all of that. And it can be very unfortunate because for those who have been particularly traumatized by rape, the way that their words come out can be, maybe come off as not as effective, but that really shouldn't be how it gets read because they have been through this kind of trauma.
All questions that are never, never, never should be asked. All questions that imply that she must have asked for it.
One of the things was I learned this year was that girls they text each other to get if they got home safely. I had no idea that was a thing.
Really?
Yeah, that's not but the thing is that's male privilege. We don't have that for guys. Nothing whatsoever.
Really good about staying in groups and at parties we stay together and everyone makes sure that they're with someone at least and everyone knows where everyone is at all times. That's good.
A friend that just moved into a studio and she was going on a date and she's like, I guess now that I live alone, I really need to tell someone when I'm going out. I've never met this person, just met them through Bumble, the app, and it's okay, text me when you get back, or let me know if you want me to call you and do a fake out.
Yeah, all my friends are use Tinder. They're all right, these are the rules. You never invite them to your place first. You always do somewhere public. You always tell someone, and it's crazy that you have to have rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely in more party environments or where there's more alcohol, your guard always has to be up a little bit.
But I guess it's just the new normal.
It makes it seem normal, I think. It's just a normal thing that people do when they're young and drunk, rather than something that is extremely violent and unacceptable.
It's the most vicious of all forms of violence. And it has the most lasting consequence on the psyche of the victim.
Something that I've been thinking about recently, sort of in terms of Brock Turner and also just sort of being around as a woman on campus, is the sense of entitlement that men have to my time and in my space, where I'll be doing an activity like reading or journaling where it's clearly I don't want to interact with people, but random guys will come up and strike conversations with me or start asking me very personal questions. Yes. I think symbolic of sort of the entitlement that men sometimes feel to a woman's space or a woman's time, which I think is then heightened, especially in a situation where there's alcohol or sexual vibes going. Sort of, thought about where if you accuse someone of raping you, it probably won't be taken that seriously, and they probably won't get punished too severely, especially if they're white, and especially if they have money or some prestige behind that.
Kind of just like freaks me out, and there's probably, I don't know, more people just like him who think they had like this privilege and they lived with this privilege. Apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, because his dad, what he said, I don't know if you heard, but yeah. 20 minutes of action, you know, I'm just like, wow, okay, so they're just alike. And then his friend defending him. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No, it's not my fight, but I can be an ally.
Yeah.
So what would you say to like other men or anything along those lines?
First is just to recognize the privilege that they have as like the male gender.
Making sure people know that it's a big problem, like seriously, 1 out of 5 is a huge number.
Men can be really successful educators because other men respect their opinions more, which is really shitty, but that is the truth.
Be the Swedish grad students that are there at the right moment and protect someone who can't protect themselves.
One message came through clearly. Get men involved and hold universities accountable for safety.